March 15th, 44 BCE, the Ides of March. The day the Roman Republic trembled as history's most famous ruler walked toward his fate. Julius Caesar, conqueror of Gaul and master of Rome, entered the Senate expecting routine business, but daggers waited in the shadows. In one swift, brutal act, the world's greatest empire shifted from republic to tyranny, from tradition to empire. This was not just an assassination, it was a turning point for civilization itself. In this video, we'll walk step by step through the dramatic hours of Caesar's final day, the plots, the betrayal, the chaos that followed, and how one man's death reshaped the course of world history forever. The Ides of March dawns. March 15th, 44 BCE. Dawn broke softly over Rome. Golden sunlight washed the marble temples, while whispers of conspiracy drifted through narrow streets. Julius Caesar, dictator for life, slept beneath heavy covers in his grand villa, unaware of the daggers sharpened against him. Across the city, senators plotted within shadowed corridors, their fear of monarchy growing heavier than their loyalty to Caesar. Omens multiplied, thunder at night, statues weeping water, sacrificial beasts without hearts. Rome trembled on the brink of destiny. The Ides of March had arrived, but Caesar's triumph blinded him to the gathering storm. As roosters crowed, a city prepared for the greatest betrayal of its republic. Inside Caesar's residence, his wife Calpurnia woke screaming. She had dreamed of his body stabbed and bleeding before marble pillars. Pale and trembling, she begged him not to attend the Senate that day. Her arms clutched his toga as she spoke of blood and betrayal. Caesar hesitated, torn between superstition and pride. Decimus Brutus, conspirator yet trusted friend, arrived and urged him to go, claiming the Senate awaited a vote of honor. Caesar straightened, his pride stronger than omens. He ordered his lictors to prepare for departure. Outside, the city stirred, unaware it was witnessing the final morning of a legend whose ambition and destiny would now collide with steel. In the Curia of Pompey, the Senate prepared, but beneath flowing togas, conspirators concealed daggers forged for one purpose: Caesar's death. Cassius whispered to Brutus. Casca rehearsed his first strike. Each man believed himself Rome's savior, yet trembled at the enormity of regicide. Statues of past heroes cast long shadows across marble floors, silent witnesses to plotting. Outside, lictors and senators gathered, unaware the hall was about to transform into history's stage. The conspirators had sworn to strike together, each blade ensuring no single hand bore the guilt alone. As the hour approached, their breaths quickened. Rome's republic would either be reborn or drown in blood before the day's end. Julius Caesar stepped into the bright morning air, surrounded by lictors carrying fasces and friends trailing behind. Citizens bowed as he passed, saluting their leader with awe. Yet behind their eyes flickered unease. Decimus Brutus guided Caesar toward the Curia, subtly directing the route. Along the way, whispers of unrest rose from vendors and soldiers alike. Caesar's purple cloak caught the sunlight, a banner of supreme power and coming doom. Even as the wheels of fate turned, He walked confidently, certain of his command. Every cobblestone seemed to echo with ancient prophecy. This march toward the Senate would be his last as ruler, but his first as martyr. On the street near the theatre of Pompey, Caesar encountered Spurina, the famed soothsayer who had warned him weeks before. "Beware the Ides of March," the man had said. Now Caesar laughed. "The Ides have come." Spurina replied, "Aye, Caesar, but not gone." The words chilled onlookers. Ominous tales circulated of lightning striking temples and eagles falling from the sky. Yet Caesar, seasoned by campaigns and victories, dismissed superstition. He believed destiny favored him. Behind him, the conspirators exchanged glances, knowing each step brought them closer to their moment. Rome itself seemed to hold its breath, marble arches and columns towering like silent judges over approaching catastrophe. The Curia of Pompey rose like a marble fortress, senators clustered in groups whispering. Caesar entered flanked by lictors, his presence electrifying the hall. His gilded chair stood beneath Pompey's statue, rival turned stone sentinel. Conspirators closed ranks around him, offering false smiles and staged petitions. The air was thick with incense and tension, every movement rehearsed for hours. Caesar, believing himself invincible, dismissed nervous glances. He approached his seat, unaware the ground beneath his sandals would soon be stained red. Above, sunlight through high windows cast beams like celestial spotlights, as if the gods themselves had gathered to watch Rome's fate decided by human hands. Julius Caesar approached first, kneeling before Caesar with a petition to recall his exiled brother. Caesar refused, waving him aside. Caesar grabbed Caesar's toga, the prearranged signal. "Why, this is violence!" Caesar exclaimed, rising. In that instant, Casca struck, slashing Caesar's neck with a hidden blade. Caesar staggered back, shocked, but not yet fallen. The Senate chamber erupted with shouts and scraping sandals. Daggers flashed like lightning beneath togas. The conspirators' plan, rehearsed in whispers, now thundered in reality. Senators fled the benches. History's pivot had begun, and Rome's greatest general realized at last the betrayal surrounding him. Casca's blade opened the floodgates. Cassius stabbed Caesar's ribs, Decimus Brutus his shoulder. Others joined with frenzied precision. 23 blades sought his life. Caesar tried to fight back with a stylus, but the swarm closed in. The marble chamber echoed with grunts, gasps, and steel slicing flesh. The air filled with the metallic tang of blood. This was no simple assassination, but ritual slaughter. Caesar's purple cloak darkened, a battlefield garment now drenched. Once he had conquered Gaul and defeated Pompey, now he faced the Senate's knives. The Republic's defenders believed themselves heroic, yet unleashed chaos that would devour their dream. Brutus stepped forward, blade trembling. He had been Caesar's friend, almost a son. Caesar's eyes met his, pleading for loyalty. Yet Brutus stabbed, driving steel into Caesar's torso. In that moment, Caesar ceased resisting. "Et tu, Brute," he whispered, not accusation but resignation. He pulled his toga over his face, falling at Pompey's statue's base. This was the ultimate irony. Pompey, once defeated, now watched his conqueror die beneath his likeness. With Brutus's strike, the assassination became symbolic, the Republic's supposed will embodied in its noblest senator. But the act that was meant to save Rome instead doomed it. Caesar lay motionless, his lifeblood pooling into cracks of ancient marble. The hall fell silent, daggers dripping. Conspirators stood stunned, their vision of restored liberty already shadowed by the enormity of their crime. Senators who had not joined the plot fled, sandals echoing down corridors. Pompey's statue was splashed red, its cold eyes fixed on the corpse. No herald proclaimed freedom. Outside, Rome bustled unaware. Inside, a world had ended. The Republic had crossed its Rubicon again, this time with Caesar's blood instead of his army. The conspirators exchanged nervous glances, realizing that killing a man was easier than killing his power. Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal ally and co-consul, had been delayed outside the chamber. When he heard the clash of voices and blades, he realized the plot too late. Rushing toward the door, he was blocked by conspirators pretending to calm him. Antony understood at once. If he entered now, he would die beside Caesar. He fled through a side passage, heart pounding, mind already plotting revenge. He knew Caesar's papers, treasury, and will must be secured before Brutus could seize them. While the conspirators congratulated themselves, Antony vanished into Rome's twisting alleys, gathering allies and laying the seeds for the next phase of power. Brutus and Cassius stepped from the Curia, their daggers raised, declaring liberty restored. "People of Rome, you are free," they cried. Yet the forum remained silent, citizens staring at blood-stained togas. Some trembled, others backed away. The assassins had envisioned cheers, but met only fear. Their blades still dripped crimson, symbols of treachery rather than heroism. They marched toward the Capitol, claiming sanctuary and trying to rally senators. Their shouts for freedom rang hollow in the marble colonnades. A city built on spectacle had just witnessed its darkest one. Already the streets murmured of vengeance, not gratitude. News of Caesar's murder raced across Rome like wildfire. Merchants abandoned stalls, soldiers tightened grips on spears, and women wept in alleys. The Republic's heart thundered with confusion. Was freedom restored or civil war imminent? Slaves whispered gruesome details, stoking outrage. Statues of Caesar became shrines, covered with flowers by mourners. Fires flickered in braziers as rumors of Antony's escape spread. Fear mingled with fury, igniting sparks of mob violence. The Senate's marble dignity cracked beneath a storm of voices. Rome, accustomed to power and order, now teetered on the edge of chaos with no one certain who commanded the future. Antony reached Caesar's residence, securing the dictator's will, treasury, and private papers before the conspirators could act. These documents were powerful weapons, containing promises to soldiers, funds for citizens, and the naming of Octavian as heir. Antony presented himself as Caesar's faithful steward, not yet an avenger. He summoned key allies and prepared to turn public grief into political thunder. While Brutus issued speeches about liberty from the Capitol, Antony organized soldiers and sharpened rhetoric. The battlefield had shifted from daggers to crowds, from marble halls to the streets. Rome's true contest of power had only begun, and Antony held the better cards. A public funeral was decreed. Caesar's body, prepared and draped in purple and laurel, was placed on a bier for all to see. Citizens poured into the forum, their grief palpable. Antony planned the event with theatrical precision, knowing spectacle could shift hearts. Banners bore Caesar's likeness. Standards of his legions lined the square. Musicians played somber dirges as incense drifted. It was not only a farewell, but a stage for Antony to ignite vengeance. The conspirators watched from the Capitol, realizing too late that they had lost the narrative. Rome's mourning would soon turn to fury. On the rostrum, Antony raised Caesar's bloodied toga, each hole a wound, each stain a silent accusation. His voice rose, recounting Caesar's victories, generosity, and the promises in his will. The crowd gasped, then raged. "Look upon this cloak," Antony thundered. "Here Cassius struck, here Brutus stabbed." He showed them Caesar's body, lifeless yet commanding. Rome trembled as grief became anger. Mourners wailed, soldiers pounded shields, and the forum turned from solemn ceremony to volcanic fury. Antony's calculated theater transformed Caesar from ruler to martyr, and the assassins from liberators to villains in the eyes of the masses. The forum erupted. Citizens seized torches and rushed toward the homes of the conspirators, setting them ablaze. Statues of Brutus and Cassius were toppled, their names cursed. Fires climbed the night sky, illuminating temples and casting dancing shadows over the Tiber. Soldiers deserted posts to join the mobs. Rome's streets, once orderly, became rivers of fury. The conspirators fled or hid, their dream of restoring the Republic consumed in the flames they had sparked. Antony's oration had succeeded beyond measure. Now the city itself demanded vengeance, its rage echoing through marble arcades and narrow alleys alike. Brutus and Cassius, once hailed as defenders of liberty, now slipped out of Rome like fugitives. They fled east to raise legions, their speeches about freedom sounding hollow against the backdrop of riots and burning homes. Letters from allies dwindled as Antony consolidated power. Caesar's death had not restored the Republic, but transformed him into a martyr whose memory outshone their cause. Each mile they rode carried them farther from the city they claimed to save. Their flight marked the beginning of a civil war that would decide Rome's future and bury the old republic beneath imperial ambition. Far from Rome, young Gaius Octavius, Caesar's adopted heir, received news of the assassination. Only 19, yet cunning beyond his years, he journeyed to Italy to claim his inheritance. Aligning with Antony for a time, he positioned himself as avenger of Caesar and champion of the people. Together they formed the Second Triumvirate, launching a relentless hunt for the assassins. Caesar's murder meant to halt monarchy, instead birthed an imperial dynasty. Octavian would outmaneuver all rivals, becoming Augustus, Rome's first emperor. The Ides of March had not ended Caesar's power, it had transformed it into legend. The assassination of Julius Caesar marked the Republic's last breath. Conspirators believed they had saved liberty, but they unleashed empire. Caesar's blood sanctified a new order, his name becoming synonymous with power, betrayal, and destiny. Rome's centuries-long experiment in republican government yielded to autocracy, its citizens trading senatorial intrigue for imperial stability. Beware the Ides of March became a timeless warning of treachery hidden behind loyalty. In marble halls and shadowed forums, Caesar's ghost lingers, a reminder that one day's daggers can reshape a world. His death did not silence him. It made him eternal, etched into